A man sits in jail facing burglary and weapons charges after an arrest this week. This story from the Casgram. On Tuesday evening, a property owner near the Plattsmouth airport noticed on their security cameras that someone in a silver Hummer with a trailer pulled onto their property. Cass County, Nebraska Sheriff's deputies arrived and found a trailer with no plates. It was reported stolen out of Bellevue just a few hours earlier. The suspect vehicle returned and deputies then stopped the man in the back seat of the Hummer were the plates from the stolen trailer. Okay, so here's the guy. He's Vincent Cerny. He was taken into custody and booked into jail for felony theft and possession of burglary tools. Also, possession of a dangerous weapon by a prohibited person for a large knife. He is a convicted felon and is not allowed to have weapons.